Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Speak English Daily. I'm Emma. I'm really glad you're here. Before we'll start, I want to ask you something. Have you ever walked into a supermarket and felt, for just a moment, like you weren't sure what to do? Not because you don't know how to shop. Of course you know how to shop. You've been shopping your whole life. But because everything around you, the signs, the labels, the cashier asking you something, is in English, and for a second, your brain goes quiet. You look at the sign above the aisle, you read the word, you know what it means, but your mouth doesn't move. That feeling, I know that feeling. My students tell me about it all the time. Let me tell you about two of my students. Ahmed came to Canada from Egypt 3 years ago. His English? Actually quite good. He can read a newspaper. He can understand a TV show. He passed his language test at work. Ahmed from Egypt said, "I can read the menu. I can understand. But when the waiter asks me something, my mind goes completely blank." Maria from Mexico said, "I walked around the whole supermarket for 20 minutes because I was afraid to ask where the rice was." And I get it. I really do. I want to talk about that gap for a moment, because I think it is the most important thing anyone has ever said to me about language learning. There are two kinds of English, the English you understand and the English you can use. Most people, when they study a language, only ever work on the first kind. They read, they listen, they study, they understand more and more, but they never quite cross over into the second kind, the usable English. The English that comes out when you meet it. The English that works in real moments with real people when there is no time to think. And the only way to get there, the only way across that gap, is to go into the shop, to open your mouth, to say the thing. Not perfectly, not smoothly, just say it. And then do it again next time. And again the time after that. The gap gets smaller every time you cross it. That's the whole secret. That's all there is. The gap between understanding English and using it in a real moment, that gap can feel very wide. But today, we're going to walk through that gap together. We're going to go grocery shopping in English, you and me, Thursday evening, my neighborhood supermarket. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly what to say. And more importantly, you'll feel like you've already been there. So grab whatever you're drinking, get comfortable, and let's go to the supermarket together. Before we go in, let's do a quick warm-up, just 5 sentences about things you buy, things you need. Very simple. Say each one with me. Don't think about it too much. Just say it. Say it with me. I need milk. I need bread. I want some fruit. I'm looking for the eggs. Excuse me, where is the butter? Good. Those 5 sentences, you can do a lot with them in a lot of different supermarkets, in a lot of different situations. Notice something about them. They are short, direct, simple. They say exactly what you need. No extra words. No long explanation. This is how real people talk in real shops. Not long, careful sentences, just the short version, the one that gets the job done. And that is the English we practice today. Now, let's go shopping. It's Thursday evening, a little after 6. I'm in my kitchen, standing in front of the open fridge. I do this sometimes. Just stand there, looking at the fridge, hoping it will tell me something. It doesn't. What I see? Some leftover pasta from Tuesday, 1 egg, a sad piece of broccoli, 3 condiments I never use. And the strawberry jam, almost empty. Almost empty. That's the most urgent thing. I close the fridge. The fridge, when you look at it honestly, tells you a lot about where you are in your week. A full fridge at the start of the week, optimistic, organized, ready. A fridge with 1 egg and 3 condiments on Thursday, human. I go to the small notepad I keep on the kitchen counter. I always write a shopping list. Always. I know some people go to the supermarket without a list. They just walk around and remember what they need. I cannot do this. If I go without a list, I come home with 3 kinds of pasta and no butter. So, I write a list. I stand at the counter with my pen. I think about the week ahead. Monday, I'll make soup. Tuesday, rice and vegetables. Wednesday, I'm going to my mom's for dinner. Thursday, something quick. I write. Milk, 1 carton. Bread, the sourdough from the bakery section. Eggs, 12. Butter, onions, carrots, spinach, fresh if possible, frozen if not. Chicken, for the soup. Canned tomatoes and strawberry jam, definitely. I look at the list, 10 things, a reasonable number. I look at the list one more time. There's something satisfying about a shopping list. The items just sitting there, waiting, calm, not asking for anything yet, just potential. A carrot is just a carrot on a list, but it's also soup. It's also Monday dinner. It's also the feeling of eating something warm at the end of a cold day. A list is really just a small plan for the week. And I like having a plan. Not a big plan, not a life plan. I am not a life plan person. I find life plans overwhelming. But a week plan, a dinner plan, a list of 10 things, that I can manage. That feels good. And I like having a plan. I fold the list. I put it in my pocket. I put on my coat. I pick up my reusable bags. I have 4 of them by the door. I always bring too many. I never bring too few. I close the door behind me. Time to go. I leave the flat a little after 6:30. The light is that particular Thursday evening kind of light. Not quite dark, but fading. That golden hour that isn't really golden anymore when it's overcast. More like a gentle dimming, the world slowly turning the brightness down. I walk the usual route, past the building with the yellow door, number 12. I always notice that door. Very yellow, cheerfully yellow. Someone chose that color deliberately, and I respect it. Past the small park where two kids are still playing on the swings despite the chill. One of them sees something funny and laughs. That uncontrolled, full-body laugh that only children do. I've forgotten how to laugh like that. Most adults have. Past the Italian restaurant, La Nonna, where the dinner rush is just beginning. I can see through the window a table of 4 raising their glasses, celebrating something, or maybe just Thursday. Thursday deserves a celebration sometimes. I walk along the main street, people coming home from work, people going to the gym, people standing outside a pub, already with their drinks, having the kind of conversation that doesn't need to go anywhere. I have my bags under my arm, my list in my pocket. Yes, it's in my pocket. I can feel it. The supermarket is ahead on the left. I can see its big green sign from here. Greenway Market. The windows lit up warm. I push through the door. The supermarket is a 10-minute walk from my flat. It's called Greenway Market. Not a huge store, not one of those enormous places where you need 30 minutes just to find the cheese. Just a good, medium-sized supermarket. Clean, bright, familiar. I've been coming here for 2 years. The first thing I always notice is the smell. Every supermarket has a smell. Greenway smells like fresh bread and something saintly floral from the small flower stand just inside the entrance. There's a bucket of sunflowers today, bright yellow, standing there like they're very pleased with themselves. I stopped for a moment. I wasn't planning to buy flowers. Flowers are not on the list. But sunflowers, I look at them. They look back. I pick up 3. 3 feels right. 1 feels like an afterthought. 5 feels like a statement. 3 feels like, I saw these and I wanted them. I put them under my arm. Flowers are now on the list, retroactively. I take a basket from the stack near the door, the meadow kind, not a cart. I don't need a cart today. 10 things, plus 3 sunflowers. A basket is enough. I look at the store for a moment. Even after 2 years, I still do this when I arrive. I stand at the entrance and I look. I orient myself. Some people just walk straight in. No map, no plan. They trust themselves. I cannot do this. I need a moment before I start moving. Maybe that is why I like supermarkets. Everything has a section. Everything has a sign. Everything is findable. If only everything in life were so clearly labeled. Produce on the left, dairy in the back, bread and bakery along the right wall, meat and fish in the far right corner, canned goods, middle aisles, checkout counters at the front. Okay, I know where everything is. Let's go. I go to the produce section first. I always start with produce. My mother always started with produce. Her mother, too. I have never asked why. It is just what you do. You start where the food is still alive. It's the most alive part of the supermarket. The colors: red apples, green apples, yellow bananas, deep purple eggplant, orange carrots tied together in bunches, pale green cabbage, bright red tomatoes. I like walking through produce even when I don't need anything from it, just for the color, just for the feeling that the world is abundant. A man near me is holding up 2 avocados, squeezing them gently, looking for the perfectly ripe one. The avocado squeeze, a universal language. Today I need carrots and onions, and I'm hoping for fresh spinach. I find the carrots. They're in a low bin near the root vegetables. Good-looking carrots, firm, bright orange, not too thick. I don't know why, but I always prefer the thinner carrots. They cook faster, they taste sweeter, I think. Or maybe I've just told myself that for so long I believe it. I take 5 carrots. I put them in a small plastic produce bag. The onions are nearby. I pick up 3 medium yellow onions. They smell like themselves. That sharp, earthy onion smell, even through the netting. Then, the spinach. I look at the fresh spinach section. There's 1 bag left. I pick it up and look at it. The leaves don't look great. A little yellow at the edges, a little limp. I put it back. I look for a staff member. There's a young woman nearby, restocking the mushrooms. She's wearing a green apron and earphones. I wait for a moment until she looks up. She takes out 1 earphone. "Hi. Sorry to bother you," I say. "Do you have more fresh spinach in the back? This one doesn't look very fresh." She looks at the bag I put back. "Oh yeah, that one's been sitting a while," she says. "I think we might have some in the back. Give me 2 minutes." She disappears through a door with a sign that says staff. I wait. While I wait, I look at the mushrooms she was restocking. Small brown ones, button mushrooms. I'm not a huge mushroom person. My friend Sarah loves mushrooms. She puts them in everything. Pasta, soup, omelet, pizza. One time she put them in a dessert. I didn't ask questions. The woman comes back. She's carrying a new bag of spinach. Bright green, crisp. "Here you go," she says, handing it to me. "Just came in this afternoon." "That's perfect," I say. "Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." "No problem. Have a good evening." I put the spinach in my basket. That small exchange, 30 seconds maybe. I want to stay with it for a moment. For a lot of people, that exchange would not happen. They would see the limp spinach. They would think, "This doesn't look good." They would put it in the basket anyway, because asking felt too hard, because they weren't sure of the words. I understand that. I really do. But here's what I want you to know. You are not bothering anyone. Asking for help is what shops are for. The staff member is there to help. That is literally part of the job. You are not an inconvenience. You are a customer, and you have every right to ask. But it required something. It required opening your mouth. It required saying what you need. It required trusting that your words will work. And they did. They always do. I walk to the back of the store, toward the dairy section. The back wall is all refrigerators, long glass doors, cold air coming out every time someone opens one. I like the dairy section. It's always organized, always the same. Milk, yogurt, cheese, butter, eggs. In that order, every time. Reliable. I appreciate things that are reliable. I open the refrigerator door. I take a carton of milk. Whole milk. I tried semi-skimmed for a month once. I don't recommend it. I look at the yogurt for a moment. I wasn't planning to buy yogurt, but there's a new kind I haven't tried. Mango and cardamom. Mango and cardamom. I think about this for a moment. I am a person who buys the same yogurt every week. Plain Greek. The one with the blue lid. I have bought this yogurt for 3 years. But mango and cardamom. Sometimes you have to say yes to mango and cardamom. Sometimes that's the whole philosophy. I pick it up. I read the label. Lightly sweetened. No artificial flavors. I put it in the basket. Yogurt is now on the list. Retroactively, I find the butter. 1 block. The unsalted kind I always use. And the eggs. I stand in front of the eggs for a moment. There are so many options. Regular eggs, free-range eggs, organic free-range eggs, free-range eggs from hens that apparently eat better than I do. I pick up the free-range. I open the box and check the eggs, one by one, just to make sure none are cracked. I do this every time, every single time, in every supermarket, in every country I've ever lived in. When I lived in Paris, I checked the eggs. When I visited my aunt in Seoul, I checked the eggs. When I stayed with a friend in Lisbon for 2 weeks, I checked the eggs. My friend in Lisbon said, "Emma, no one checks the eggs here." I said, "My grandmother checked the eggs." She said, "Your grandmother is not here." I checked the eggs anyway. All 12 were fine. My grandmother would have been proud. My mother taught me this. Always check the eggs before you put them in the basket. She was right about most things. She was definitely right about the eggs. I have a memory attached to checking eggs. When I was 8, I went shopping with my grandmother. She checked every single egg in every carton. She would tap each one gently and listen. I asked her, "What are you listening for?" She said, "I will know when I hear it." I never found out what she was listening for, but I still check. Every time. All 12. Intact. Good. Into the basket. Now the bread. I walk along the back wall toward the bakery section. The bakery section of Greenway is one of those places that makes you feel slightly better about being alive. The smell first, warm, yeasty, rich. The smell of bread being baked or finished baking, I can never tell the difference from out here. But it doesn't matter. The smell is the same. I look along the shelf. White sandwich bread, whole wheat, multigrain, rye. And there, on the end, the sourdough, a round loaf, dark, crackly crust, the kind that makes a good hollow sound when you tap it. I tap it. Good hollow sound. I've been tapping bread loaves for years. My mother does it. Her mother did it. I don't know where this tradition started, but we all do it. We tap the bread, we listen, we nod. A man next to me is also tapping a loaf. We make eye contact for a moment. We both nod. We understand each other. No words necessary. Just the bread tap into the basket. I go to the meat and fish counter. This is the part of the supermarket where I have to talk to someone. At the meat counter, you don't just take from a shelf. You wait. You look at what's available behind the glass. Someone comes over, and you tell them what you want. For a long time, when I was first learning French in Paris, this was the part of grocery shopping I dreaded. Not because I didn't know the words, because the conversation could go anywhere, and I couldn't predict it. The person behind the counter might ask, "Do you want it deboned? How thick do you want it cut? Do you want the skin on or off?" And my brain would go blank. I remember standing at a fish counter in Paris once, being asked something I didn't understand, and just saying, "Oui," yes, to whatever the question was. I came home with a very specific cut of fish I had no idea how to cook. I looked it up. I found a recipe. It took 45 minutes and used half my spices. I cooked it anyway. It was fine. Actually, it was quite good. I told no one about this. The point is, even when the language fails you in the moment, it almost never ruins anything. You figure it out. You improvise. You cook the fish. And slowly, you get better. Not because you studied harder, but because you kept going into the shop. You kept standing at the counter. You kept opening your mouth. But that feeling, that moment of I don't understand and I'm too embarrassed to say so, I know exactly how that feels. So today at the meat counter, I walk over slowly. I look at what's in the glass case: chicken, lamb, pork, duck. Everything laid out in rows, very organized, very clear. This I can do. I know what I want. I have the words. I just need to say them. A man is standing behind the glass. He's maybe 50, stocky, white apron, patient face. The kind of face that has answered the same questions for 20 years and somehow still finds them reasonable. She looks up at me. "What can I get for you?" "Hi. I'd like some chicken, please," I say, "for soup." So bone-in is fine. Actually, preferred. He nods. He understands. "How much are you looking at? Maybe 500 grams? Just for one person?" I say, "Thighs or drumsticks, if you have them." "Size I can do," he says. He turns to the tray behind him. He selects 3 pieces. He wraps them. He sticks on a label. "That's about $5.20, he says, handing them over. "Perfect. Thank you." That's it. 40 seconds. Complete transaction. Nobody embarrassed. Chicken acquired. The thing about these small conversations, they're almost never as complicated as we fear. The gap between what we imagine will happen and what actually happens is almost always smaller, usually much smaller. And even when something goes wrong, when you use the wrong word or they don't understand you, you figure it out. You point, you try again. You both try a little harder. And then it works. It almost always works because most people want to help. You're on the same side, always. I walk to the middle aisles. Canned goods. I need canned tomatoes. Simple. I find the tomato section and I stand there because there are 17 kinds of canned tomatoes. Whole peeled tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, tomatoes with basil, tomatoes with garlic, tomatoes with basil and garlic, tomatoes in juice, tomatoes in puree? What's the difference? Cherry tomatoes in a can? Why? I stand there for a full 30 seconds, just looking at them. Supermarkets give you too many options, so that any choice feels like a real decision. You feel like you have done something. You have compared and selected and decided. But for soup, you want crushed tomatoes. You always want crushed tomatoes. I pick up the crushed tomatoes. This is what I always use for soup. 2 cans. And then I reach into my pocket for my list. My list is not there. I check the other pocket. Not there either. I check my bag. Not there. I stand in the canned goods aisle. There is something uniquely embarrassing about losing your shopping list inside the supermarket. It's not like losing it on the way here. That would be understandable. It's not like forgetting to write one. That happens to everyone. But writing the list, folding it carefully, and then leaving it on the counter, that is a special kind of thing. I stand in the canned goods aisle, trying to remember if I actually wrote a list or just thought about writing a list. I definitely wrote a list. I remember writing it. I remember folding it. I did not put it in my pocket. I put it somewhere. On the counter. Probably on the counter. Next to the notepad. Unfolded. At home. I stand there for a moment. Okay. I know I need milk. Got it. Eggs. Got it. Butter. Got it. Carrots, onions, spinach. Got them. Chicken, got it. Bread, got it. Canned tomatoes, in my hand. What am I missing? The strawberry jam. Almost forgot the strawberry jam. The most important thing on the list. And I almost forgot it. This is why I write lists. I retrace my steps, back past the canned goods, down the breakfast aisle. Past the cereals, there are so many cereals. A whole wall of cereals, each one with a slightly different claim on the front. High fiber, low sugar, packed with goodness. The goodness is never specified. I walk to the jam and spreads aisle. I find the strawberry jam. My brand. The one with the red lid. I put 2 jars in the basket. 2, because I'm not going through this again next week. I stand for a moment in the middle of the store, just standing. This happens to me sometimes at the supermarket. This pause. I've got everything I need. The basket is full. I could go to the checkout right now, but I'm not quite ready to leave. There's something about a supermarket in the evening. It's different from the morning rush. Less urgent, more human. People are shopping for dinner, for one night. Not stocking up for the apocalypse, just tonight's dinner. A teenage boy with headphones in, holding 2 different kinds of noodles, staring at them like they hold the answer to a very important question. An older man moving slowly down the aisle, reading the label on a jar of pasta sauce for a very long time. A woman on the phone saying, "What do you mean you don't want pasta? You always want pasta." I like these glimpses into other people's evenings, other people's dinners, other people's small, ordinary lives. There is something very comforting about being in a room full of ordinary life, about seeing that everyone in every language from every country is just trying to figure out what to cook for dinner. I shift the basket to my other hand. Okay, checkout. I head toward the checkout. There are 4 lanes open. I look at each one. Lane 1, long line. Lane 2, the self-checkout. 6 machines, 2 working. Lane 3, medium line. A family with a full cart. Lane 4, short line. 2 people ahead of me. Lane 4, I walk over. I join the line. Waiting in a checkout line is one of those small moments that belongs to everyone. Rich, poor, rushed, relaxed. First week in the country, 20th year in the country. Everyone waits. Everyone watches the belt move. Everyone has opinions about how the person ahead is packing their bags. It's the great equalizer of modern life. The checkout line. I wait. I look at the things on the conveyor belt in front of me. The woman ahead is buying a lot of yogurt, 5 different kinds of cheese, 2 bottles of wine, a single apple. I respect that. There's a clear vision there. She pays and leaves. The man ahead of me puts his items on the belt. 2 items, a box of crackers and a small block of cheddar. Simple, decisive. I respect that too. He pays, he goes. My turn. I put my items on the conveyor belt, one by one. Milk, eggs, butter, bread, carrots, onions, spinach, chicken. 2 cans of tomatoes. 2 jars of strawberry jam. Mango cardamom yogurt. 3 sunflowers. The cashier is a teenage girl. Dark hair. Name tag, Priya. She scans everything with practiced speed. She doesn't look up much. That's fine. She's been doing this for hours. She picks up the sunflowers. She looks at them for a second. "These are nice," she says. "Thank you. They kind of talked me into buying them," I say. She smiles a little. She scans them. "Do you have a loyalty card?" she asks. "I do," I say. I take it out of my wallet. I tap it on the reader. "That's $34.80, she says. I tap my card. The machine beeps. "Would you like a receipt?" "No, thank you. Have a good evening." "You too. Thank you, Priya." She looks up briefly when I say her name, slightly surprised. Most people don't say it. They see the name tag, but they don't use it. It takes 1 second, and it changes the whole conversation. A little, but it does. It says, "I see you. You are a person, but not unpleasantly." I pack my bags. I'd put the sunflowers on top so they don't get crushed. I pick up the bags. Done. I step outside. The evening air is cool, a little damp. The street lamps are already on. That orange, yellow light they give at dusk. I've always found it beautiful. like the city is lighting candles. I walk home. The bags are heavy in a satisfying way. The good kind of heavy. The I have food for the week kind of heavy. I think about the soup I'll make on Monday. The chicken thighs in the broth. The carrots going soft. The onions turning sweet. The smell filling the flat. I like cooking. Not in an ambitious way. Not the kind of cooking you photograph. Just simple food. Made slowly for one person on a quiet weeknight. The sunflowers are sticking out of the top of the bag, bobbing slightly as I walk. A woman passing me smiles at them, not at me, at the sunflowers. I don't mind. They deserve the attention. I get home. I set the bags down in the kitchen. I put the sunflowers in a glass of water. Just a glass, not a vase. I don't own a vase. A tall glass works. They don't seem to mind. I start putting things away. Milk in the fridge. Eggs in the fridge. Butter in the fridge. Spinach in the fridge. Chicken in the fridge. Yogurt in the fridge. Carrots and onions in the basket by the sink. Bread in the bread box. Canned tomatoes in the cupboard. And strawberry jam. One jar in the cupboard, one in the fridge. Ready. I fill the kettle. I put it on. While I wait for it to boil, I stand at the counter. I think about the week. Monday, the soup. Tuesday, rice and the leftover chicken from the soup. Wednesday, Mom's. Thursday, eggs. Always eggs on Thursday. There's something about planning food that makes the week feel manageable. Not because the meals matter that much, but because it's a small act of care for yourself. Saying, I'm going to feed you this week. I've thought about it. You're going to be okay. I lean against the counter and look at my kitchen. It looks like a kitchen where someone lives. The sunflowers on the table, the full fridge, the bread box, the 2 jars of jam. Good. The kettle boils. I make my tea. I sit at the table. The sunflowers are right there, very pleased with themselves. I stand at the window for a moment. The street outside is quiet now. The last of the day's light is gone. The street lamps have taken over. Someone walks past below with a dog. The dog stops to smell something on the pavement. Very important smell, apparently. The person waits. Another Thursday evening in the city. Another ordinary good night. I turn back to my kitchen. The sunflowers on the table. The full fridge. The tea still warm. I was not planning to buy you, I think at them. They do not respond. Sunflowers are excellent company, though. I sip my tea. I think about the week. Monday, the soup. Tuesday, rice and leftovers. Wednesday, my mother's dinner. Thursday, eggs, like always. There is something calming about having a plan, even a small one, even just a week of dinners. I have milk, I have eggs, I have strawberry jam, I have 3 sunflowers in a glass of water. I have a quiet kitchen on a Thursday evening. That is enough, more than enough, but I'm glad I did. Okay, let's take a moment now. We just went through a whole grocery shop together. The list, the produce, the dairy, the meat counter, the canned goods, the checkout, the walk home. And along the way, you heard a lot of real language, not textbook language, real conversations between real people. Let me give you the most useful phrases from today, the ones you can actually use next time you're shopping. I'll say them, you say them after me. Take your time. In the store finding things. Excuse me, where is the butter? I'm looking for the eggs. Do you have more of this in the back? This doesn't look very fresh. Is there a fresher one? At the meat or deli counter. I'd like some chicken, please. For soup, so bone-in is fine. Maybe 500 grams. Thighs or drumsticks if you have them. How much is that per kilo? At the checkout. Do you have a loyalty card? I do. Here you go. Can I pay by card? Could I have a bag, please? No receipt, thank you. Have a good evening. Now, one more time, faster, like you're actually saying it in the store. All together, one more time. Excuse me, where is the butter? Do you have more of this in the back? I'd like some chicken, please. Maybe 500 grams. Do you have a loyalty card? Can I pay by card? No receipt. Thank you. Have a good evening. Good. Those phrases, that's the English you need. Simple, direct, polite. They work every time. I want to say something about that. A lot of people think you need to sound perfect to be understood. You don't. What you need is clear intention and a few words, and the willingness to try. The cashier is not grading you. The person at the meat counter is not judging your accent. They just want to help you. So let them by opening your mouth, by saying the words, by trusting that they will work, because they will. They always do. And now it's your turn. I want you to tell me about a time you went shopping, or a time you tried to buy something in English. Maybe it went well. Maybe it was awkward. Maybe someone was patient with you. Maybe you said the wrong word and the person still understood. Or, if you haven't shopped in English yet, tell me about your usual shopping. What do you always buy? What's always in your fridge? What's the one thing you never forget? Don't think too long. Don't wait for perfect sentences. Just start talking and keep going. Prompt 1. When I go shopping, I always buy. Prompt 2. My fridge usually has. Prompt 3. One time I tried to buy something in English and... Prompt 4. The saying I never forget at the supermarket is... Prompt 5. In my country, grocery shopping is different because... Take your time. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong sentence. Whatever comes out, that is your English. And it's good enough. It's always been good enough. How was that? Today, we went somewhere real, which is actually the point. Not a practice conversation, not a textbook dialogue, not a role play where nothing is at stake. A real supermarket, real people, real things to buy. Real moments where you have to open your mouth and say what you need. And we did all of it. We made a list. We walked into a store. We asked the person for help. We stood at a counter and said what we needed. We paid. We came home. And we did all of it in English. I want to say something about that spinach moment. When I asked the woman to check the back, that was a small thing, maybe 30 words, but a lot of people would not have done that. They would have taken the limp spinach. They would have been quietly disappointed. They would have told themselves, I'll say something next time. Next time is always easier to imagine than now, but now is when it actually happens. And sometimes now is 30 words and a bag of fresh spinach and someone saying, no problem, have a good evening. That's it. That's all it takes. This week, if you go to any shop, any store, any market, try one thing, one sentence to one person. Excuse me, where is the? Do you have more of this? Thank you so much. Have a good day. Just one, and notice what happens. Notice how the person responds. Notice how it feels after. Usually, it feels like you thought it would, but smaller and fine. It's almost always fine. I'll see you next Monday. We're going to the cafe, a real one, with real people and real coffee and real conversation. But that's next week. For now, enjoy your evening. Make something warm. Put some strawberry jam on something. You've earned it. One more thing before you go. Shopping in a language that is not your first is genuinely hard work. You are reading every sign, decoding every label, listening to a cashier who speaks quickly, calculating the price while forming your response, while trying to look completely normal. That is a lot, and you do it week after week, whenever life needs feeding. That is real life in a second language, harder than anyone who has not done it understands. So be patient with yourself. Be kind with yourself. Keep going into the shop, because every time you open your mouth and say what you need, you get a little more comfortable, a little less afraid. And one day, not far from now, you will walk into a supermarket and you will just shop. No fear, no rehearsing, just shopping, like everyone else. Because it will feel like everyone else. That day is coming, I promise.